This episode of Whiskey Riff Raff is brought to you by Templeton Whiskey. Originally distilled in the Prohibition era, Templeton Whiskey has always been rooted in the notion that every bottle is an opportunity to share their small-town strong spirit with the world. From their flagship variety of rye whiskey to the top-shelf specialties, there's something for everyone to enjoy, whether sipping it neat while relaxing on the porch or mixing it in your favorite cocktail for a party. Templeton Whiskey isn't just a liquor brand for when you need a strong drink, it's a way of life.
We got the Duckman, Riley Green, presented by Templeton Rye here. Riley, long time no talk. Where are you at right now?
Florida, somewhere in Florida, Jacksonville.
Pretty sure. Oh, nice.
I was gonna say I see some like palm tree looking bush shit.
I couldn't tell if that was real or not.
It's all fake.
Oh really?
Oh, I was gonna say.
We're in Florida. It's crazy. We got off the bus last night in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, and it was pretty cold. And then I get off the bus today with a sweatsuit on or whatever, and it's humid and muggy and hot down here. We're right by the ocean, so that's just touring life. That's how it is.
Are you a guy? You're an Alabama native. Are you not a cold weather fan? Because you spend a lot of time hunting, which I mean, you got to, if you want to hunt some, some big bucks up north, you got to get into the cold. But are you kind of like a bitch about the cold, or are you? I can deal with it.
Yeah. I would say that, probably more than anything was doing construction all those years and just being out in the elements. I was like, kind of like where, we always complained about how hot it was and the summer on a roof didn't work, but we could all kind of deal with it. And the cold was kind of the same thing. It's like we'd build a fire first thing in the morning and be all shivering and bitching and moaning about it, but it was something we were pretty used to. And now it's like, I think of the cold weather and it makes me think about duck hunting or, deer hunting or something. It just kind of gets me just like that. Spring kind of smell makes you think about baseball, or in the fall makes you think about football. It's kind of the same thing for me with hunting now. It just kind of puts me in a good mood.
Nice. We'll get back to hunting, but I got to ask, you mentioned football. You got an Auburn hat on right here.
It's a sad year for us. Yeah.
So is that, because you played, and I don't know if people know, but you played at Jacksonville State quarterback, right? That's the guy got the school right. But not that it's obviously a smaller school, right? So do you, like, as you got older, was it like, all right, I'm going to pick like another team that also I root for type of thing?
I was always an Auburn fan. I just grew up in the city of Jacksonville. So I went to Jacksonville High School and then played football at Jacksonville State. It was kind of like it was like a dream growing up to be able to play football at Jacksonville. So that was my hometown school. But as far as like in Alabama, you have to be an Alabama or an Auburn fan. There is no in between, so I was always an Auburn fan growing up, and we played the rodeo in Auburn last weekend, so I had to throw a hat back on. It's been a while, but we haven't had a lot to cheer about.
You got that song about Alabama beating the shit out of Tennessee, and that didn't happen.
And what a year for that song to come out.
I forgot why I didn't. We had some like social thing we were going to do, and I don't know. Well, it went the other way. I was going to tweet something at you about it because of after that. I took Tennessee. I made it out pretty well with that bet, but
yeah, you did.
do you just hate? You just like you hate Saban in Alabama? It's just like not, or do you respect them and you're just like, God damn it, they're never going to not be good?
I mean, I'm a very big fan of the state of Alabama, and with that, people always kind of that aren't from there look confused about. So we don't have a pro team. So we're all Braves fans.
Right.
Everybody in Alabama is pretty much a Braves fan. We don't have a professional football team. So we don't have a football team. So it's like you're Alabama or Auburn, which, there's some years when I think Alabama could have beat a pro team, like they've got that kind of team. But it was just those years when Auburn won and then Alabama won a couple and Auburn won. Like, you just got to be prideful of that. Saban's obviously a great coach, but it's kind of like where that song came from. I'm an Auburn fan. But my granddaddy Lyndon was such a diehard, like Paul Bear Bryant, Alabama fan that you kind of get a little respect for it, and that was what the song was about. And I was telling somebody, we went on a West Coast tour that I headlined, and we played in LA and several places out in California, and they were screaming the words of that song. And it still just goes back to that thing of like, it has nothing to do with Alabama or Tennessee. It's just about the respect for knowing that my granddaddy was such a big Alabama fan that he would have been happy if he died on the day that Alabama beat Tennessee, And I'm actually glad to see that Tennessee is making it a game again, because it's been a long time since they've had something to cheer about. So I like to see them do well too. But it's a very funny year to have put that song out and then Tennessee beat Alabama like that. I've gotten a lot of tags and tweets.
I say the DMs were probably lighting up.
And it's kind of funny for me because I'm not an Alabama fan. So I'm getting all these Tennessee fans throwing hate at me about how, yeah, we showed y'all. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I don't care.
They had some fun there at that game. Who was it? Like Peyton Manning, Kenny Chesney, Morgan. They were all, Kelsey Ballerini. They were all like partying and stuff. I was like, yeah, it looked like a good time.
All them,
Like I
East.
said, they have not had much to cheer about for a long time when they stuck around. So
Yeah.
I'm ready for them.
Do you live in Tennessee full time, or do you live in Alabama, or kind of go between both, or neither?
I live on this thing, but I've got a place in Tennessee now. I sold my house in Mount Juliet when COVID hit. Just didn't really have a reason to be up there. But both sides of my family live about 2 miles from where my farm is in Jacksonville, Alabama, outside of Jacksonville. It's just really hard for me to get away from there. I bought some property. I got a little farm. My dad and his brother work on my farm for me, just kind of tearing stuff up. Dad tears up my equipment all the time, and I go home and check on everything. It's just, that's a really good escape for me. And it's only about 3 hours from Nashville, so it's pretty easy to get down there.
What was that small town life like growing up? Was it like the quintessential, how you see it in the movies, or was it kind of a little mix, or great memories, or was it a little?
It was, I'll put it like this. When I first signed a record deal, Jimmy Harnan was the president of BMLG, Big Machine Records. He came down with a camera crew. They wanted to film this like where you're from thing, you know. And everybody in that group was just like jaw dropped the whole time at how rural and country that place is. Like almost like we staged it. You know, you go a quarter mile from my house and there's the graveyard that says nothing but green or Boozer or Bonds on every headstone down there. It's all my family. And then you go another quarter mile and there's Green stores, the only convenience store in Pleasant Valley, Alabama, where I live. And it's, you know, my granddaddy and his brothers are in there playing dominoes every morning. And, you know, it's like we came down the hill from my house and they were wanting to talk to my grandmother. And I said, she's probably cutting grass down here. And they laughed. And then we pulled down. She pulled up on a lawnmower and said, hey, how y'all doing? You know, my mom was making CD labels, burning CDs of mine and selling them at my shows. And they come down and they're like, well, you can't do that anymore. That's illegal. Yes. So it's a very small town, very much, you know, what you would see in some of the movies. But that's one thing I loved about that place is that it doesn't change much. You know, with all the traveling and Nashville's so busy and all the stuff going on, it's so easy to get back to kind of where I started writing from because it's the same as it was when I left.
Do you
go ahead, Wes.
I was just gonna say, do you have a lot of hunting property? Do you have a pond out there? Do you kind of do all that stuff?
Yeah, we grew up kind of just hunting on whoever's property. I don't think I was legally hunting on anybody's property.
Weren't knocking on doors.
Yeah, I had so much family out there. We just kind of, it was understood, like old man so-and-so, he had a bunch of turkeys on his place. But we don't have the deer, the size deer, the number deer that they have up in like Illinois and Kentucky and Kansas and Iowa and all that. So I still do a lot of traveling for hunting. And, you know, it's kind of few and far between when I'm home now. We're so busy. It's a great problem to have, but it seems like for 2 years we've been making up for 2020, trying to get caught up. So I do a lot of hunting on the road, keep my bow with me, and, you know, we try to get it done when we can. What's your
worst hunting experience real quick, Wes? Do you have any horror stories, or usually pretty good outcomes?
I can say this, and y'all probably both playing sports growing up, I assume, or at least in some competitive fashion, was like those moments are things that you still lay in bed thinking about, not being able to sleep, those like missed passes or whatever it was. And that's how hunting is for me. So I've had several that keep me up at night, where the big one walked in and I, you know, didn't get a shot or whatever it was. But I went to Wisconsin, like it's probably been 6 or 7 years ago now, with my brother-in-law and his brother. We just went up there and hunted public land. And we were kind of like guessing, you know, had no idea. I think I shot a doe on that trip. Out of the three of us, we were bow hunting, but I got lost. And it was like 12 degrees, snowing like crazy. And I mean, snowing to the point where it like covered my tracks up. I couldn't just follow my tracks back out. And I walked around and I remember my cell phone was dying. And I sent a text message to my brother-in-law and said, hey man, when you get to the truck, honk the horn, you know, and I'll try to go in the direction that I heard it. And he honked the horn and said, did you hear that? And I didn't. So I knew I was way off, and I just joked, well, if I don't make it out, y'all gonna have my stuff, you know. And I wandered around for like 4 hours. Remember like tripping over a log and sliding down this big snowy hill and just laying there, all my stuff scattered out. I was like, this is it, you know, it's gonna be a skeleton here. But I ended up getting on a little road bed and getting out, but it took me about 4 hours.
Oh man.
That was one of those things where I wasn't as scared as I should have been at the time. Because I assume I know there's wolves and coyotes and probably bears up there. I don't know, but
They have
it was,
bear. They have black bear in Wisconsin.
not a big fan of that.
Damn. We have quite a bit of outdoors content and articles and stuff, and you'd get a kick out of, we could send you some maybe when we get them. Like vegans will get really upset about like, just crazy outdoors videos, like cool stuff, like entertaining kind of, nature's metal, whatever you want to say. Like we even had an old lady like write a letter, wrote it, and sent it to the office where Wes is. She like, it's just like, it's one of the weirdest things. It's one of the most triggering things. Like people that don't understand that animals are alive and hunters that care do it the right way, but they go eat their steak thinking it grows off of a tree, right? It's just like, or whatever it may be. But it's pretty wild to see some of the
weird time. I mean, to even not narrow it down to just like the hunting world and people that are against hunting, it's such a like internet driven time of people can just say whatever they want with no consequences or repercussions and just put it out into the world on the internet. And I kind of look at it now that like the people that really passionately think they're going to change somebody's mind by typing something out and putting it on Twitter or something are probably a little off anyway.
It does the opposite. It's been it's like it does the opposite.
Tell me how many times you've read something and been like, oh, they're right. Yep. I've completely changed my mindset. They're like, that's not what happens. People
sell the bow.
just ranting on there. So, stuff like that doesn't get to me, but I've been really fortunate that like, I don't get a lot of like anti-hunting hate on my social medias, but I think it's because I've done it forever. The people that follow me kind of know, and I guess if somebody was to come across me and find it, it's going to be right there. They're going to see it and they can decide if they want to follow me or not. So it's kind of like, you don't see a whole lot of it, which is great. It's a lot of hunters, I guess, and people that grew up like me that are following me.
When they like comment on Instagram photos and they're like, wow, heartbreaking. Are you going to actually eat that? And then the hunter replies like, yeah, ... It's like, the conversation just like stops. Just like,
it's so easy to get caught up in that too. I try my very best to, just kind of keep in mind that people don't have anything better to do. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, that's how everybody ate at one point.
Right.
It's the best way to eat, right? Like the
Go
healthiest.
feel something on your own, you starve to death, so, and I know that people don't understand the nostalgia of it, I guess, for lack of a better term, of like, if your dad or your granddad or your great granddad, whoever took you hunting or fishing, and that was like what y'all did together, and it, and that bond, that's kind of what you do, and it reminds you of that time, then, I've had some amazing hunting trips that I didn't see anything or even get a shot at anything. It's just like being out there. And my dad's not a hunter. He's never hunted, didn't hunt growing up. And I take him with me and he enjoys it. I mean, he's never killed anything. He just likes going, and likes being out there, likes to cook and hang out and look around for arrowheads in the woods. And, it's a different lifestyle. I think if you grew up and you weren't around it, it's hard to understand.
Yeah, for sure. What's your bucket list hunt? Like, what's kind of something you're still hoping to do in the next couple of years here?
Man, I get asked all the time about going, and doing like some, there's like a billion different types of goat, that you can go hunt, like mountain goats and sheep and all that stuff. And I just haven't got bored with bow hunting whitetail in the Midwest. Like it's still hard enough for me. I still go a lot of times and don't have any luck. I started hunting in Arkansas at a place that I've duck hunted for years, and it's a bow hunt only unit in Arkansas. So you cannot take a gun, and it's swampy and the water level rises and lowers all the time. So like any sign you find in the woods is so hard to come across, and it just makes it really tough. And like, I could go do that all year and not kill a deer, but it's just so challenging I'm kind of haven't gotten bored with what I'm doing yet. But I drew an elk tag in Montana the last 2 years and have not been able to string together enough days to really go and get it done. So that's something that I'm going to have to accomplish at some point. But I still, like I said, I'm not bored with the chasing deer and ducks and turkey run right now. So I'm going to keep trying that.
Not too far from me here in like Evergreen, Colorado, and like Estes Park. And you'll just like drive and you'll go by somebody's front yard and there'll be like 20, 25 elk just sitting there.
Just chilling.
Yeah, it's just like, it's crazy. Like you like, they run the city, you got to like wait in the car. It's just like crossing, and it's pretty majestic. Real quick, looking at your Instagram, you've had some interesting hangouts recently. We saw Jelly Roll, saw Cole Wetzel. I got him. How was the liver after some of those hangouts? Because I got to imagine you guys had some drinks.
Yeah, man. Me and Jelly had a wild night one night after the show. I think he opened up for me and hung out on the bus. And I think Corey Smith was with us, and we went back and forth. We all had a little too much, and Jelly was freestyling on everybody. And man, he's a talented dude. I remember coming across him years ago, and I think it was one of those, like, he was just out of prison freestyling in like an apartment somewhere. And you know, I grew up listening to everything, and I always kind of had an appreciation for that, because it was really, I mean, it's people coming up with lyrics, you know, like on the spot. And I remember seeing that, and then of course, you know, meeting him, and now that he's in the country music world and having some success, I really like it, because you can tell he's super appreciative of his opportunity. You know, I mean, obviously you can look at him and tell he's been through a lot, you know, and he's, but it had to be a hard road to get kind of accepted into the country music world.
Yeah.
Like he is. And, you know, the song's great, and he's got a cool story. And I think that's kind of what works for people now, is just real. You know, it's like,
Oh yeah.
It's not hard to imagine what that dude's been through and kind of get what he's singing about and believe it. And I think that's what people want to hear at the end of the day, is stuff that they kind of believe.
I saw something with him. I think it was him, or it was a story about him, but he's talking about him and his, I think it's his wife.
Yeah.
And they were like, he was talking. I'm like, oh, that's not, he's just like fucking around. And then it's like, oh no, that was like a true story. Like how he met his wife, and it was just like craziness.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like, it is kind of interesting. He seems like one of those guys that everybody wants to like become friends with now. Like he
Yeah,
like
right.
good aura type of guy, like a Post Malone
Positive.
vibe.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, man, there's no substitution for people that are just real. And I mean, whether you like his story or not, he doesn't beat around the bush about it, you know, and I think that's what people appreciate. And Co is, I'd never really crossed paths with Co. We've had a few shows. He opened for me at Georgia Rodeo in Athens the other day. And like, I get it, you know, I mean, not even really knowing his music that well, like it's a thing, like it's really like Tom Petty-ish, you know, kind of it's not like what you think of when you think of Texas country. And
No, yeah.
I've always kind of enjoyed that, man. It's so hard to have your own genre, I
Yeah.
guess. I was always such a big fan of Mike Ryan for that reason. He's not Texas
Same.
country to me in the sense of what like Turnpike and, you know, even Cody Johnson, that type of stuff. So I always liked it. And Co's got a cool thing, man. He gets after it too. So you got to appreciate that. I think I'm probably a little older than he is. So I've had some of those years. I try to dial it back when I can.
Oh, I know. We had him on recently, and he just woke up. It was like 3 p.m. And it was like he had a nice big glass of wine. He's like, oh, I got to take it easy. I'm just kind of hair of the dog, 3 p.m. wine, like after waking up. But he's another guy that's real. Because we've been in this long enough too, where we've kind of met the Nashville people, the label people, the independent artists, like Muscadine Bloodline, people like that we love, and
Bama
Texas, whatever. And it's like, as big as Co is and like how fast he can sell tickets, he like stays like just like super like humble and like nice. It's refreshing for us because we've met the extremes, I think, over the years. So the guy, even like a guy like yourself, you're like getting huge. Obviously you're going on a world tour with Luke Combs, right? It's like, but you stay like level. Maybe being outside with no cell phone service helps, I would imagine, like in the meditation side of things. But like it seems like it doesn't get to your head.
Yeah, I think that the only way I've said that it could really change you, and I mean success in the country music industry, is if it was just given to you. You know, if like overnight, and I don't even think this happens anymore, but like just say you're a good looking dude and you go to Nashville and some record label finds you and gives you some songs and dresses you up and puts you out there and you become a big hit and you're out with Tim McGraw next year. And then, I mean, I could see that being something that was so drastic that you're just like, man, maybe I'm the shit, you know, I don't know. But for me, it was like,
I think that's a real person.
There's no amount of success that I've had that wasn't given to me by somebody else. I mean, I may have written some songs and, you know, driven late at night and traveled quite a bit, but I'm still playing shows for people that are buying my tickets and downloading my songs. And really, before a song on the radio, sharing my music with somebody else. So it's, you know, it's hard not to be appreciative of that. That's where it came from, you know. And groups like Muscadine and Co and Mike and all these people, they kind of came up the same way. It's a little different than it used to be, but you can have a fan base without having that radio hit. And I think that what so many people struggle with is it's kind of hard to do both. You know, I say all the time, the toughest thing that I have in my world right now is to keep putting out songs that I think are really cool and that are unique, or that are maybe, for lack of a better term, me, but also can get played on the radio. You know, because it takes a certain kind of song to get on the radio right now. And look at all the guys that are having a lot of success that don't have a song on the radio. The Tyler Childers and Zach Bryan, all these guys that are doing something without that. So it's kind of like, it's still got a lot of value, and a lot of people still listen to the radio, but trying to keep both is a tough thing, man. It's just
I mean,
it's tough not to look at what everybody else is doing when you're living in Nashville.
Yeah, I can imagine that's hard. Yeah, I can imagine that's hard. It's funny because before we hit record, mentioned the Luke Combs in Colorado show, and Zach Bryan was one of those openers. And you talk about radio play, and we've been kind of critical of radio over the years here. And even if you like some of the songs, it's like the repetitiveness kind of really starts to grind at you. But seeing like a full stadium, an NFL stadium, sing back every word of a Zach Bryan song opening for Luke Combs, you're just like, this is like what music's supposed to be, right? It's like the whole commercial side of it. It's like great if it can work. I think Cody Johnson, you mentioned earlier, is like a great example of that, where kind of came from that, kind of has his own sound and it works. You do the same, but it's like, I don't see like a Riley Green, even when you do a song with Thomas Rhett, who kind of goes pop sometimes. And we've joked with him through DMs about some stuff. Oh, yeah. The song You're On with him is like a cool, like fun, like country song. Like it's, you know, it's not like a serious song, but it's fun and it's country. So are you very particular about like, if you're going to do something a little outside of the box, if it's a collab or whatever, it's,
yeah,
I mean, still fit me.
100%. I like Thomas is great. And y'all know this from common sense. That is a huge opportunity for me to have a song like that with Thomas, not to mention award show performances. It's just a big opportunity for a guy that's only had one number one at country radio to, you know, we're in the top 5 right now with that song. But I wouldn't just go cut anything with anybody. That's a country sounding song. It's definitely lighter. It's definitely down the middle and a fun summertime song. But you know what? Those are the kind of songs that radio loves and the radio listener loves. It kind of, to me, it's like There Was This Girl was kind of that type of song. You know, it's not going to make you cry, but it might make you want to roll the window down and turn it up on a summer day when you're riding with your buddies or on the lake or whatever. And that's kind of what radio is become. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of great songs like that, but I don't think that's really my bread and butter. I think that I probably, if I picked up a guitar right now to write, it would be more in the ballady, you know, try to make somebody feel something type of song. And
you're good at that for sure.
People also don't want to ride around a cry all day, so it's kind of trying to find that middle ground. And,
you don't have a specific dog song, but your line about dogs and I Wish Grandpa's Never Died. I swear to God, like I got Maverick in here somewhere laying down, like it, like there's something people like that hate country music talk shit about like, oh, my dog or like whatever. It's like, fuck that. Like unless you
have a dog,
you're right. And it's like, did that line in that song, was that just like, I need that's like the closer coming in at the end of a baseball game. It's like, I need something towards the end that's just going to make people feel something on top of already a really heavy song.
Well, that song was a little, first off, that was one of those songs that just kind of came, you know, I mean, I wrote it by myself in about 45 minutes. I think I had the idea for a while after my granddaddy passed away. I was flying back from Vegas to go to the funeral, and I wrote the title down and not knowing what it was going to be. But it's one of those songs that was a little tough to write, in that when you name things like that really have a lot of meaning. I mean, they're still talking about country music on country radio.
Yeah.
Mama Tried, you know, the first kiss, like, you know, you're talking about some pretty big things. Wishing everybody overseas is going to make it home. You kind of have to top yourself as the song goes along. You know, you can't put that line there and then not put something that's a little bigger after it, you know. And what I loved about the song when I wrote it was, you know, there's a lot of songs that talk about your grandpa, and I didn't want to write a song that was, about my grandpa. I kind of wanted to write it from the stance of like, these are some values that I think my granddaddy taught me. And, you know, there was actually, looking back, I kind of had two mindsets about it. You remember the song, Are the Good Times Really Over, Merle Haggard? I wish a buck was still silver and girls could still cook and all this stuff. That was, you know, a great song and a great thought, but I liked taking it a little further and going, I wish these things were the case, but they're things that couldn't really happen. fictional things like coolers that never ran out of beer and cars having truck beds and all. So it kind of made it a little lighter maybe, but the best thing about that song is what you just said, is that people have a line that does something to them.
Yeah.
To make it through that whole song and be fine.
Yeah, because
I wish good dogs never got gray and old. That's cool, you know.
Well, for me, I never met my like grandfathers. They were both died before I was born. So like I can still feel the song in a lot of different ways. But then every time I hear that, I'm like, God damn.
Yeah.
I had a guy come up to me after a show one time. He was an older gentleman, and he said that he never knew his grandfathers, but he was a grandfather, and that song got him for that reason. So I'm like, you know, that just goes to show you don't have to know what you're trying to accomplish when you write something. Just write it, and you know, try to be as real about it as you can. I mean, people find a way to make it about their own life.
I mean, I think it was like your acoustic performance. I forgot where you guys filmed the video a few years back. It was, I think that one went viral for us. Also, your Opry performance when you did it, I believe.
Yeah.
Or it was another performance, right? With the whole like the country radio line.
The live one might have been in Alabama.
Right. Phoenix City.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you know, the video of me playing it the first time is the one that's really shitty quality, and you can hear the crowd kind of just reacting to it. And that's the one that went viral for me, but I didn't take it. Somebody else took it and put it up. But what was the craziest thing that I saw was about 2 or maybe 3 weeks after that, the song wasn't recorded. I had another single at country radio. We were talking about going in and recording it, but I went and played the West Virginia State Fair, and I'd never played in West Virginia. And it was probably, I don't know, 4, maybe 5,000 people there, and they screamed it. Every word of the song off of a video they saw on YouTube. And that's what you see with all these guys now.
Yeah.
You know, it's people learning songs off of that. So that was my thing, is like, you can't go make somebody go and listen to a song that's just a shitty YouTube video. You know, they have to go and want to do that. That's shared. That's very organic. And that kind of told me that I was onto something with that song. It might be a big song for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like we've had a few moments where we've found some shitty cell phone quality video from a show, unreleased song. That was one of them probably we shared. And then, you know, different artists over the years, and just seeing like them explode. And like little feather in our cap was that Scotty McCreary's 5 More Minutes. He ended up recording that song and then releasing it as a single after it went super viral on our site.
That's cool.
And then it was his first #1 in like 5 years or something like that. I mean, he was under that American Idol contract, but like it was we're like, all right, cool.
You know, I'm sure y'all are probably the same way, but I've always been like, if I hear a song on the radio that I like, or wherever I hear it, I go to YouTube and I type in acoustic, whatever the song is, and I want to see that person sing it. And a lot of times it's in like a radio room or somewhere, and I just want to hear them sing it by themselves. I don't know why. Just it kind of, I like to see if it does anything to me, if it seems like they really mean it, or, you know, especially if they wrote the song, hearing them talk about how they wrote it. I mean, that's such a cool thing for me.
Yeah, I feel like before we got started, me and Steve would just be in our like dorm rooms or in our college apartments, and like, oh, so-and-so's on tour right now. Let's just see what they're playing. Like, oh, and this like shitty video is like, oh, this is the best we got of this new song. But like,
you would get like excited about back in the day, like, oh, what's their entrance like? What's their like, you know, it's like Kenny Chesney started coming out of the 50-yard line at the stadium shows, and all that type of stuff. Your last Instagram post, real quick, was, I don't know if that was last night or whatever, you were dancing with a security guard over there, lucky lady, a lot of jealous female fans. It was a little fun moment. Who took that, and was that, were you and her talking about it, or was that just completely organic?
That was me. I think that was it. That was at Athens Rodeo or Auburn Rodeo 1, but I got into the sauce a little bit and was having a good time, and I think I was letting the band kind of do a little pass around play, and I just went over there and started flirting with this older lady security guard, and she flirted right back. So it was a funny little moment. I don't know who took the video. I just saw it and reshared.
You have some really good, your photographer's awesome. Is a Samuel Crabtree, right? Yeah, he's
Brian Sam,
yeah, I love that guy. And you had some good shots of taking a shot, throwing it. So if you're, what is it? Tequila? Is it whiskey? Is it, if you're doing like a little
shot on stage is always tequila. It seems like it's a little, I don't know, it kind of makes you wake up a little bit, I guess. And we always do it like the second or third song. So it kind of, you know, gets me going, I guess, once I've got on. But I've been drinking during the show, like a little Tito's and Crystal Light. Something about that seems a little healthier.
Huh.
Isn't that the Miranda Lambert recipe?
Oh yeah, she might have it, something like that. Yeah.
I think she was a Tito's and Crystal Light. That was like her like Randa Rita thing or whatever. Like
It works. It'll do the
But it's
trick.
Crystal Light and not the stuff, and not to get like into like the crunchy. Not that I live in Colorado, got crunchy, but it's Crystal Light the stuff that has the like, you know, when you get the sugar-free gum, it has warning and it has like the stuff in it. Is Crystal Light one of those like bad artificial sweetener things? It probably tastes amazing, right? You're like, shit, I gotta go take a look at this.
he's like, what the hell's in this?
You got me
There's
worried.
so artificial sweeteners, if it is art, like you're almost sometimes better with the sugar, right? Whereas the stevia is now like the hip thing.
What's it supposed to be warning me of, though?
It's called, it starts with a P. I don't know if it's in there or not.
Or like aspartame, isn't that the one? Or
Yeah,
something
aspartame.
Well, I'm about to find out. Hang on.
what the hell is a Crystal Light?
Contains phenylalanine.
Oh shit, I think that's it.
Oh,
Hey,
no.
man.
Oh,
I just
damn.
ruined your. I just ruined your.
Great.
No, but mate. Well, hey,
I'm drinking
hold on.
whiskey
You say your
tonight,
dad.
boy.
You say your dad likes to cook or whatever. It's like, get them. Go buy some lemons. Go buy a little quick squeezer. Get a little regular sugar, just fine, because it helps kind of with the
You're
little
talking about
salt in
making drink
there.
with some natural ingredients.
Yeah.
Well,
Fuck
that's
it, dude.
great. It just takes too long. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a great idea. Yeah. I don't have
Isn't
a-
Crystal Light like Crystal
I
Light's
can't-
lemonade? No.
I can't get my bass player to zest a lemon for me while I'm on stage when I need another drink. Man. He
The
just-
fact that you know, the fact that you know what zesting is like that's pretty good.
Hey, man, I
don't
like to
think-
cook. I don't know how much
Yeah.
zest I do, but I enjoy it, man.
That's like my favorite thing to do in the world is cook.
Yeah.
I imagine as
I'm
a
used to-
hunter, you gotta
Yeah.
cook that stuff up.
Yeah, you used to
Are you
have
doing
to-
Liver King shit and eating the liver raw? Are you doing any of that?
No, I like stuff that tastes good, man. It took a while to figure out a way to make duck taste good, you know, and that was like, so
Oh, I
like,
love duck, man.
tried a lot of things, and now I think I enjoy cooking because I'm on the road so much. You really can't,
Yeah.
and I like to try to eat healthy, you know. So
I mean,
cook
come
a-
on, dude, you're fucking shredded. Like, you go on your Instagram, it's like, are you one of these guys? I saw some interview with Sam Hunt a while back, and he was like, how do you stay ripped? And he's like, I play basketball. It's like, come on. Like you're lifting weights, right? You're doing the thing, like you're a former athlete, like you know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I used to play pickup basketball a lot, and that was a great way to stay in shape. Now, you know, my band's not really,
Yeah, for the cardio.
yeah, not really athletes, and you know, we don't do a lot of that. But I try to work out when I can. I keep a little bit of stuff on the bus and the trailer that I can kind of break out. And it's tough. This lifestyle is tough. I mean, I got on the bus last night, and I think at 11:30 there was like 9 pizzas from some like
Oh, yeah.
delicious. And how do you walk past that to go get in the bed and go to sleep? You know, they got catering 3 meals a day, and it's tough, man. It's tough to eat right, and you're out drinking every night and want to sleep all day. But I try to do a little something. I think I get most of my exercise and I guess healthy lifestyle when I'm not on the road. You know, if I get in on Sunday, I try to eat right and work out Sunday through about Wednesday, and then get back on the road and eat like crap again.
Tackle Bell.
Yeah.
When's the next album coming out? Was the fan question everybody wants to know. I feel like you
Yeah.
have so many great, like kind of just unreleased songs you've teased over the last year or two, and then you'll sneak a little EP in there, sneak a live album in there, sneak this in there.
It's been kind of great having a single with Thomas because I've never had that ability in my life to sit back and kind of pick out what the next one's going to be, you know. So I'm going to go in the studio. I'm going in for one day, like November 2nd, and we're going to cut the next single. And then over the next probably 2 months, I'm going to go in and cut an album. I've never done that before. Never. It's like y'all said, I've always gone in and cut 3 or 4 songs at a time and put them out. And that's kind of the new thing. It's so much easier. But at the same time, I've never gone and done a whole project, and I've got so many songs now. And I think that's kind of the next step is to put out. I mean, I've had my debut album. I think it's time to just put out another full length album. And, you know, timing is great with going out with Luke for stadiums next year. And, you know, things are going pretty well. So it's, you know, got to keep putting music out while the fans want to hear it.
He said it's the world tour. I don't have the dates pulled up, but when it comes to the parts of the world outside of America, are you
I'm
going?
doing the American world.
Okay.
I
I was
think
gonna
COVID,
ask.
they still be doing this overseas dates. I'm doing Canada with him in November, but all the dates I'm doing with him next year will be US dates.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I saw. It's a. Who else is it? Lainey Wilson. Who was else
The
on the?
lineup is Brent Cobb, who I love.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe Flatland Cavalry,
Yeah. I think they're on there.
Amy, and then me. And
I
Luke.
mean, come on, that's a
Solid.
lineup right there.
Solid.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to. I mean, me aside, it's gonna be a tough tour to beat next year. I mean, doing stadiums with that group. I mean, I'm kind of excited by just seeing Brent Cobb play in a stadium. I assume he'll
Yeah.
be playing acoustic or maybe.
Brent's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome, man.
Luke has that like stage presence it's so unique where it's like for a guy that can kind of just like walk around and not be like too like
Yeah,
know
he doesn't. He
it's
doesn't have
just that voice. Yeah,
he's
just
got a little more. I think he's got a little more movement in the show than even me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not George Strait.
you're like the Alan Jackson almost, where you kind of can pull, but you can pull that off. You can kind of just stand there and get the crowd going. Like that's a quality.
That was a strange thing too when I started going on major tours, and this is nothing against people that do or can, but I started seeing guys that really did that. I mean, didn't have a guitar half the show, were going out and like, you know, almost dancing and all that. And I've got nothing against it, but I just like, it's almost hard to go like, man, do I need to be doing that to, I mean, this is,
Right.
you know, this
I wouldn't
guy's
know what to do with my hands.
yeah, and I've just never done it, and it was kind of hard to stick to my guns on that. Obviously, I think I'd look like an idiot if I went out there and tried to do it, so that was a pretty easy decision. But it's just, you know, it's kind of one of those things where it's so hard to have blinders when you're out there with somebody else seeing. But at the end of the day, that's what makes people want to see you, is if you're doing something that's a little different, you know. And that's just, I think Luke's got his own thing completely, you know.
Alan over here behind Wes, he'll even just sometimes like he'll like rest his hands on the guitar.
Oh yeah,
just like just have it and just like be doing it. Real quick before we let you go, we'll go ahead, Wes.
I would say Straight will do that. Even Chesney will just like Tim McGraw, they might hold the guitar, and I'm like, you're not playing that, man. Like, you don't need to. You just singing. Chesney runs all over the damn place. Like,
he's like got it. Yeah.
I can remember thinking like when I was trying to decide how to react to people that might be kind of pushing me towards trying something a little different, is going like, would Jamie Johnson do this?
oh, yeah, that's a good strategy.
And I don't have Jamie's voice to get away with being just completely mellow on stage, but I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, and real quick, a couple questions. One, I don't think you're going to answer. That I'm asking everybody now. But who's your best friend in country music? Whose music you like the least? You don't have it.
What a horrible question! Like,
I love asking this question lately because some people will like bust somebody's balls. Or I'm just joking. Like, but yeah, is there anybody
that you're willing to name, or maybe a song where you were like, not my favorite?
well, I mean,
does anybody ever send you a song and you go, they're like, hey man, I'm so excited. That's gotta be really fucking awkward. Somebody sends you something that you're close with. Maybe it's not your style of country or whatever.
So I will tell you this. The first time I took Thomas duck hunting, we started talking about doing.
I knew that name was going to come up.
And he played me a couple of songs, and I'm not going to say that I didn't like the songs, but I said, man, I can't. That's not me. And I even remember saying that like that will be a hit for you, like killer song, just not my style of thing. And I get that. A lot of that's in demos too. People make demos a little poppier nowadays just because, you know, I think that's,
you can get the green light.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I've definitely been sent some songs and heard some songs that I was not a big fan of that I knew were good songs.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then lastly, we're talking about the working out stuff, and we've done a couple of these tweets. It's pretty funny. Like, if you're in a bar fight, like who do you want on your side, or this and that. Like, when I think about the country music landscape, and you got to be up there as far as like guys I think that could kick most guys' ass, probably. Like, I don't know, like who, like Old Man Strength, like Trace Atkins. I think Garth Brooks probably got some crazy shit going on there, but Old Man Strength, you know, like Dad Strength, like the type of shit he like bench press a fucking like little Mazda. What are you? Is there anybody out there if you had to do a cage fight that you'd be worried about? Because I feel like Riley, you're probably like the heavyweight champ if it turned into a who can survive out there.
I don't know. I mean, Trace Atkins is definitely a big old joker. That's for sure. And he's got that look too. He's got that like Sam Elliott intimidation look.
He plays like
I can-
bikers in McConaughey movies and stuff.
He really is. It's great. I can remember thinking when I think I Love This Bar video came out, Toby Keith,
Yeah.
you know, and there was a guy in there that like beat him up in the video. And I just remember thinking like, that'd be a big old dude. Cause I think Toby Keith's a big old guy and he seems like he can scrap, you know, like he's just kind of rough, but I don't know, man. I hope we don't have to find out.
Yeah. Well, we'll pose a question maybe on Twitter and see what people, I feel like you're going to get a lot of votes.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you for coming back on after the little technical difficulty there, and Crystal Light maybe tonight.
No, I can't do it now. You got me all messed up.
Change it up. Well, stay safe out there, brother, and hopefully we can see you soon and have some drinks in person.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man. Good talking to y'all. We'll catch up soon. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All
Thank you,
right,
buddy.
Riley.
See y'all,
See you,
brother.
man.